Hey, did you hear Minecraft is in Smash now? It's a pretty big deal. And jokes aside, the lull in Smash news we'd had for a while changed real fast with a reveal that shook the collective gaming world. Once considered unthinkable years ago, Steve and Alex have joined the fight. And a zombie and a shrunken down Enderman too, of all things. The reveal has been met with surprise, excitement, and a little backlash, but things have actually been pretty positive for the most part. But just how well has the Minecraft gang and the content they brought with them measured up to Ultimate's standards? As someone who is very familiar with Ultimate's mechanics and design mentality, but has only played Minecraft a few times casually, maybe I can provide a unique perspective. Let's take a quick-ish look at the character and moveset design and all the additional features that are part of Challenger Pack number 7. Alright, I'll come out and say it. This may be the weirdest moveset concept we've seen yet. It's like the elevator pitch for Steve was, what if we literally just put Minecraft's mechanics into Smash? Okay, it's not literally 100%, but the moveset feels tailor-made to incorporate as much of their game of origin as possible. From A-button attacks using different tools, to whipping out craftable objects and hazards for certain stronger attacks, to incorporating Minecraft's famously stilted and simplistic animations one-to-one in a way that for all intents and purposes should dip into the uncanny valley next to all the other characters, yet somehow comes off as charming instead. There's something hilariously absurd about watching them flail their arms and legs back and forth when they take a lot of knockback, or watch them get up off the ground by just levitating back into position, or falling asleep and pulling out a full-size bed to nap on. It's as if they have the personality of someone playing Minecraft who just stumbled into Smash, with their goals and personality being completely different than all the other fighters. Shout out to the costumes, by the way. We got a really nice spread here, from some welcome inclusiveness to references to Mojang's offices in Sweden and Scotland, to a couple mobs who came along for the ride. There's a wide selection here that also partially portrays just how varied avatar designs can get in Minecraft. By the way, do you know that their textures in Smash are even arranged in the exact same way? I'm not sure if that's attention to detail, a time-saving measure, or a flex. Almost like, say, flexing by subscribing if you like what you've seen so far. But how'd they put it all together? Sure, you've likely taken Steve's moveset for a spin yourself by now, but have you noticed how the Smash team built it and how their intended fighting style has come together here? Maybe I can help you learn a few things. Let's start with the, tools of the trade. A key part of Steve's moveset is all the different tools that come in handy when playing Minecraft. With a sword, pickaxe, hatchet, and shovel of varying materials, many of Steve's attacks involve simply swinging them at varying intensities. As a way of directly using the attack animations from Minecraft, Steve's jab, forward tilt, and neutral air all mesh together seamlessly just like Mega Man's, as do his up tilt and up air. This can set up a seamless string of otherwise weak attacks that can combo into each other and a couple other follow-ups at different percents. It's very weird compared to other fighters, but shockingly effective at racking up damage at lower percents, especially with those trickier up tilt and up air strings. But there are also some stronger single hits, with one charged sword strike from the Minecraft Java edition, but mostly using the pickaxe in what seem to be exaggerating mining motions retooled for combat. Since a pick really isn't suited for fighting enemies, it works really well that it's less combo friendly but can still deal some big hits, including one of the fastest spikes in the game on Steve's frame 8 forward air. It's a setup both very unwieldy but also very scary if it gets going, and it leans way harder on the source material than even my concept for Steve from a year and a half ago considered doing. But then there's even less conventional stuff that rounds out the moveset. Pouring lava onto people, sticking a block of magma overhead before casually mining it away, pulling an anvil out of hammer space to cover your landing, complete with being able to jump off it after a while. Somehow they even managed to make Steve's grab game feel creative, what with the fishing rod, fences, piston for 2 throws, and the anvil again. I thought my concept did some wild stuff with various tools, but this one actually took it further, even though I still think a splash potion would have worked better for the up smash. I guess all this craziness makes Steve a Swiss Army knife of sorts. Or Swedish Army knife? But the craziest part may be how the neutral special ties it all together by using the signature features of Minecraft all at once. Mining for materials, crafting stronger tools, and creating blocks at your feet, all by pressing the B button in different locations, is a stroke of brilliance and quite complicated. You know, I thought they'd want to keep Steve's mechanics on the tamer side if they did put him in Smash, so any casual players just getting into it from Minecraft wouldn't get too overwhelmed having to learn Steve's specific stuff on top of how to move and attack in a platform fighter. But instead they went all out on the complexity while trying to do it in a way that felt familiar enough to come naturally to Minecraft players. Mine materials when you get the chance, use them to create stuff on the fly, the whole 9 yards. Seems to work on paper, though I guess you'd have to ask newer players if it succeeded. By the way, can we talk about how much work had to be done to make the entire neutral special function? Each stage surface had to be coated as a specific type of substance so they'd give a certain believable pool of materials and take different durations of time to mine them. Each stage needed specific boundaries coated so blocks would interact with them in ways that'd be both functional and balanced. They had to say, this is above the stage, blocks work normally here. This is off stage, blocks deteriorate faster here. This is too far away, you can't place blocks here. This is a stage wall, you can't place blocks next to here. And now imagine doing that for over 100 stages. I figured the DLC team would have been too small for that much extra work, but they pulled it off. Maybe I've underestimated them. The rest of Steve's specials are tame in comparison, but even they embody some of the many things you can do in Minecraft. Whipping out a minecart to cross the stage or recover or send it careening around a block formation? So fitting that I called it in my concept, though I didn't expect it to command grab people if it's unoccupied, or have a redstone-powered version that might be Steve's best kill move. Elytra also makes perfect sense as a recovery move. It was going to be that or an ender pearl, and my concept guessed wrong. It seems like they just copied over Brawl's gliding mechanics for this one, so you can go really far if you know how to work it, but it's also not broken like Brawl gliding was since you go into freefall afterward and can't cancel out. Then there's the TNT and pressure plate. That goes hand in hand with the set play Steve already has, and oh boy is that explosion big and strong, but the way it can be knocked around before blowing up, even if you do enough damage to detonate it, makes it harder to use if you're not already in an advantage state. Probably on purpose, to be honest. And there's the booby-trapped house that is the final smash, which raises all kinds of questions like, did Steve build this or just rig it? Or what lunatic keeps a house full of creepers? Or why do I have the feeling this thing actually exists on a certain seed? But how about everything else that happened in this update? Let's look at the rest of what this Challenger Pack brought. The big thing being the new stage, of course. I was wondering how they'd handle a Minecraft stage and how they'd interpret elements of the game, and the Smash team did not disappoint. I figured some element of randomness would happen here, but they handled it much more cleanly than I expected, with 6 different layouts that are chosen at random each time. While each biome has different background elements like villagers, wildlife, and monsters once night falls, they're kept as cameos instead of outright interfering with the fight, something I actually really appreciate with how crazy some stages we already have can get. Instead, the other gimmick here is breakable terrain, with each biome starting out with different obstacles that get permanently destroyed as they take damage. It's a different take on the idea compared to Luigi's Mansion regenerating after a while, especially since some terrain is covering up platforms. But I also really appreciate the steps they took for competitive players as well. Turning hazards off starts the match with the terrain already destroyed, and it turns out you can actually choose which biome you want by holding certain button combinations when you select the stage. Due to the simpler setup yet unique platform layouts, I could actually see a couple of these biomes being viable counterpick stages, though we'll probably settle on just one for simplicity's sake, like maybe the birch forest. Hopefully this coming so soon after Small Battlefield became a thing is a sign that we'll see some more competitive-friendly hazardless versions of future DLC stages. And we can't forget the music that plays on the new stage. 7 new songs is a little on the small side compared to most DLC stages so far. I get it, since a lot of Minecraft's regular soundtrack is ambient stuff that wouldn't work well in Smash, though I also wonder if there were some licensing reasons why they stuck to expansions and spin-offs. But what we did get is pretty good. The remix of the Glide minigame theme you're hearing right now is my personal favorite of the bunch. We also got a new spirit board with, I think, most of what you'd expect. Again, I've only played Minecraft casually, so I'm familiar with everyone here, even if I may not be able to appreciate the little references that go into each spirit battle as much as a diehard fan would be. Always interesting to see how each spirit's traits get interpreted in these. And then there's this update's Mii costumes, sold separately. Minecraft brought a few of its own, with a set of diamond armor for all the sword fighters out there, as well as a pig and a strangely bipedal creeper, and I have no idea whether to laugh or be weirded out. We also had another costume come back, this time the one based on Gil from Tower of Druaga. With that, every one of Bamco's costumes from Smash 4 has returned, except Lloyd. We'll have to see whether that means anything or not. And then we got more than one deluxe costume this time. I don't know why I didn't consider it, but a full-on model swap of Bomberman is a cool idea, even if he has no bombs to use. Guess I'll have to settle for shot puts. Can I say I really like the idea of having the costume's color change to match the palette of the Mii wearing it as a way of using all the different bomber colors? Then there's Travis Touchdown in sword fighter form, which, well, he had his fans and also had a lot of people assuming he'd be fully playable because his creator is friends with Sakurai, and this happened instead. Admittedly, I wasn't that interested in him, so I'm not the right person to ask, but we do know that Volume 2 was planned out by the end of 2019, more or less. Since he apparently wasn't in the cards for the roster, this is a way to still include him. It's something, right? Overall, Challenger Pack number 7 brought us something very different, headlined by a newcomer that adapts to its home series in a way that feels both unique and refreshing. Steve and Alex are all about an off-kilter defensive playstyle that puts focus on using breaks in the action to mine for materials, upgrade their tools, and place blocks to force aggressive opponents to rethink their approaches. They're at their strongest when racking up damage at low percents or setting up traps in situations that make them difficult to avoid. Good Steve players are going to be a menace at the ledge, I can already tell. But this moveset also runs into trouble against opponents who don't have to blindly rush in. Characters who can outspace Steve's tools in mid-range, zoners who can harass from a safe distance, and anyone with high mobility both on the ground and in the air who can maneuver around traps and block walls with little trouble all look to be trouble. This will be a very polarized fighter, I can tell. One who might steamroll an opponent in one game only to get two-stocked the next. I think Steve's effectiveness in the long run will depend on how far players can push all the weird and janky setups and respond once people start actively avoiding the starters for their biggest strings. This newcomer also put the spotlight back onto Smash after the lack of news since late June had dimmed it for a while. Willing to bet Steve's trailer would have aired at the end of Nintendo's E3 Direct if this had been a normal year and not 2020. But now there's definitely going to be a lot of fans hyping up who might show up next. Though, be careful with that, alright? I've been seeing people wondering how Ultimate is gonna top this, and I don't think that's necessarily what they're trying to do. Smash reveal cycles tend to drop the biggest stuff early on or about halfway in, then wind things down as it nears the end with more under-the-radar characters who fill roles the already revealed ones haven't, like smaller rocks filling in the gaps between big ones. And those less expected picks can still be really fun additions. So while I do think we'll see at least one more big deal reveal, it'll probably be more someone who's been requested for a while and ties up a loose end of sorts, like Ridley or K. Rool or Banjo did for their cycles. Basically, hype responsibly. And keep in mind that these characters aren't chosen just for the sake of hype or star power or collecting names, because like Sakurai himself said, whether a character is fun to play as matters more than how big a deal they are. And some newer or less discussed characters can be really compelling if you learn more about them. Special thanks to these people here, especially my patrons for helping keep the channel going. It means a lot to me, especially with the pain and other issues that make videos like these take much longer to finish than I want them to. So until next time, whatever you do, don't dig straight down.